the top decks stay under like 50 points, so that's my goal. There's a number of them above 50 right now. Everything's brought to you by Mac Weldon, baby. Until the end of the month. Horn and Jade Kit. This is a pretty easy mulligan. Not only does it not have a discard outlet to get going, you could maybe argue that we're on the draw and we can move to hand size and discard this, but not only is that slow, but my tiebreaker for if I mulligan a close hand in Dredge is, do I have a Narcomoeba in the opener? Because these cards are very valuable in your deck for flipping Prized Amalgams into play. So definitely a mulligan more aggressively when we have Narcs in the opener. This hand's like not super exciting, but it's fine. We'd like another Dredger. Neonate's actually really good too. So we wanted a second Dredger with this hand, or we wanted a 1-mana way to get our Dredgers going. So with the Insolent Neonate there, we should be able to get the Loam going, and that'll hopefully find us a second Dredger for the Cathartic Reunion to get moving with. Sacred Foundry tapped. This hand's really bad against Jeskai because Cathartic Reunion does not like counter magic. Yeah, the polo does look a little funky on camera. Sweet. Tap out for Azcanta is great for us here. Means we get to resolve this reunion next turn without getting without too much happening. And we dredged another Loam here, so we'll get to go ahead and do that. Such a dapper shirt. What's going on, Daxmon? Welcome back. Thanks for the 4-month resub. It's just early, Pinky. Without fail. First game of the day. I feel like there's different people here for the first game of the day constantly. It's funny how people are always like, "Are you okay?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's okay." All right, so we'll get Stomping Ground here because we want to be able to cast these Life from the Loams in a little bit. So let's floop this Bloodghast into play. We'll get the Amalgam back at end of turn. Let's go Reunion, bin these. Unless they have like a main deck Settle the Wreckage here, we should be in a pretty good spot. There's a Golgari Thug over here. All right, and there's another Narc. So just like turn 2, gonna have 10 power. Not a bad start. Not a bad start. So, part of the problem with playing Dredge right now, in my opinion, is that while Dredge isn't actively on a lot of people's radar, I think because of decks like Storm and other decks that like fringe use the graveyard, I think this graveyard hate is still on the fringes of people's like mind and cards they're playing anyways. So I think this deck basically suffers from a lot of splash damage from other decks that people are playing anyways, which I think is a little bit of a knock against it. Like if you never had to play against Graveyard Hate, this deck's amazing. But like I think the last time we played it, it really felt to me like it had. This is probably too much disruption. I think it really felt to me like it was a little bit weaker than the power level of Affinity, but suffered from the same we're going to get hosed by Graveyard Hate type of effects that Affinity often has. Yeah, this deck just like doesn't have the raw power a lot of the time to play through a lot of the cards that people are bringing in, which is actually one of the reasons why I really love Thoughtseize in the sideboard of this deck. Thoughtseize is a card that not only helps you against faster combo decks with Dredge, but it's a card that can take your opponent's Graveyard Hate and sideboard cards against you so you don't get hosed by them. Oh, I should post in Discord that we're live early. This hand is Morning Drain, Morning Light. This hand is really bad. It actually has land, discard, dredge outlet, but double Narcomoeba, I think, just makes it an obligated mulligan. Also, Cathartic Reunion is a little bit risky against Jeskai. You'll notice I trimmed one. I would like to trim more, but you really just, like, don't have enough, you don't, what's the word I'm searching for? You don't have enough draw velocity without them. I'm pretty sure this is a mulligan, too. You could maybe argue that I could take a Scry, but like this is our worst dredger in the deck, and I don't have a 1 or 2 cost draw card, so I'm gonna take a mulligan again. This hand's much better. Dredge tends to mulligan really well. I played this deck a bunch online late last year, earlier this year, and I think my record for winning a game on a mulligan was I won multiple games on mulligans as low as 3. Jeskai is just like keeps having like just enough points to get on the board, and then Justin and other people keep bumping other decks up above it to get like disrupt threshold. Or like I run out of time, or other things run long. So eventually it'll have enough points that, hopefully we'll play it today. Eventually it'll have enough points that it'll happen. So newer Dredge players, you'll note that I opted to use my Neonate during my opponent's second main phase. That's really important because if you flip Narcomoeba and Prized Amalgam with that Dredge, you want to be able to get the Prized Amalgam back on their end step so we can attack with it on our next turn. Dredge the Stinky Boy. That's pretty unfortunate. There actually aren't any Dredgers in my bin now, so I'm pretty sure I want to fetch Shock here and just like conflag my opponent for a bunch. Howdy King, welcome to a live one. Thanks for the support. Yeah, I think I just want to like upstairs them for the full amount here. Yeah, let's just do 3. 1, 2, 3. Like I said, these matches get harder post-board, so like, if they like play a rest in peace here, we're very dead. 18 months going on, JW. Welcome back. Thanks for the 1.5 years of support. Oak Brick, thanks for re-upping. Welcome back. Gosh, these have been really unfortunate dredges. Not only are there no Narcomoebas or Bloodghast in the top third of our deck, but there's 0 copies of Faithless Looting as well. I could just play this Stinkweed Imp out, but I kind of want to hold this land in case we dredge into a Bloodghast next turn. No, I think we want to hold the Imp because I want this land to trigger Bloodghast in case I flip a Bloodghast with my next dredge. I mean, if my opponent doesn't have a Surgical Extraction here or a Rest in Peace, like, they're still not in a very good spot, or like Settle the Wreckage, but I can probably afford to play around Settle the Wreckage, honestly. Can probably afford to play around that. Alright, sweet. So we hit a Bloodghast. We also hit another Amalgam, which is nice. Unfortunately, still did not hit a Faithless Looting. I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. I don't think I want to cast this. Again, I feel like holding this land for more Bloodghast that we could flip out next turn is valuable. I still have the Stinkweed Imp in my bin to potentially dredge next turn, so we'll get 2 of these pigs back. Them pathing us here is actually very good for us because that signifies to me that they don't have a sweeper and they're going to try and keep our board in check with spot removal. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see like a snap path here, keep a Prized Amalgam off the board. But this is This is not a fight that Jeskai can generally win. Like, the one-for-oneing each and every one of our creatures with spot removal is not going to be a winning game plan for them most of the time. No, getting the mountain is fine. You generally want 4 lands in this deck, so that way, when you get to a point where you're ready to start loaming, you can loam plus Conflag in the same turn. So, like, getting the land into play now, I think it's acceptable. It also means I can cast the Stinkweed Imp next turn for mana without having to crack this fetch land. I do need to be careful that I don't... Maybe I'm on a fetch green just so I don't... I only have 1 more Stomping Ground in the deck. So very possible that I might want to do that. That's pretty good. Alright, time to get on the scrappy. So now that I found a life from the Loam, I think I'm going to go ahead and fetch my green source out at the end of their turn. Because since I have life from the Loam to make a land drop with, I no longer need to be prioritizing. Oh, fuck. Seriously? Oh, I waited too long. Both my Stomping Grounds are gone. Are there any? Alright, well, I guess we're not loaming this game. That's rough. Okay. Attack with these. See if we can cast this Faithless Looting. You can find previous iterations of the Landfall aggro deck on my YouTube channel. We've played it 3 or 4 times on stream before. YouTube.com/Jeff Hoagland. All of the deck lists can be found in the video descriptions. Oh, you know what? I flipped the Bloodghast there. I wonder if I was supposed to dredge the Dakmor Salvage. It's possible. Alright, well, I'm going to have to put a bunch of pigs into play here. You on earlier? I'm on early. I'm on early. I was up, the kids were gone. I had all my other stuff done. This is match 1, game 2. The fact that I don't have Loam going could mean that my opponent could potentially grind through all of our things, so I do kind of want to kill them sooner rather than later. If they have, like, Supreme Verdict here, we could be in trouble, potentially. That's pretty good. That allows them to turn off my prized amalgams, basically. They have enough cryptic commands. They could, like, tap draw my team a few times here, which would be good for them. I wonder if I was supposed to not discard both my Stinkweed Imps. I'm going to go ahead and Conflagrate here. I guess I could flashback Faithless Looting. I have 12 cards left in my deck. Let's flashback Faithless Looting, see where we get. I guess if I can't get them to 10 anyways, I should do this pre-combat, or post-combat, so that way they can't counter-tap my team. Yeah. That was a little loose. Although getting a Cryptic Command burned on a Faithless Looting as opposed to a Conflagrate is kind of a win for us. So this must mean another Cryptic or potentially a Snapcaster Mage. Alright, we found another Bloodghast. Did I hit my Driven to Despair yet? I did not. Alright, let's enter combat and see what they do. No reason to attack with those because they have Rune Taillow out. Might as well leave these back to block Snapcaster Mage. I'm waiting on the Dakmor Salvage here because my Bloodghast will have haste anyways now. Sphinx's Revelation. Oh, Secure the Waste. Okay, that makes sense. That makes playing Golgari Thug as opposed to Stinkweed Imp a little bit worse. The nice thing about the Secure the Waste coming in here is that that likely means my opponent doesn't have a sweeper effect. Because if they have a sweeper, they're not going to lead off on their token makers. Nice Rune Taillow. Alright, so there's 2 Bloodghasts in my bin, but they're not particularly useful because of all these warrior tokens now. There's my Driven to Despair. I guess Despair makes my Bloodghast marginally better. Do you have a Snapcaster or another Cryptic command? You do not. That's good for me. Oh, you do have a Cryptic, you're just going tap draw. That makes sense. That makes sense. So you have 9, 13 here, so I'm dead to a burn spell. Sorry, 7, 11, still dead to a burn spell. Am I getting swept or burned out? We need 3 burn spells to burn me out, so I assume this is a sweeper. I'll put this Narcomoeba on top of my deck. Eight whack, not close. So, Dredge. This Life from the Loam. So, unfortunately, there's only 3 cards in my deck, so, like, that's a real thing. Let's trigger these amalgams. Hey, Durf. What's the donation there? Dr. Franklin, good morning. Jeff, top-notch MTG content. Thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Or welcome. Thanks for the support. Yeah, all right. They've had enough. Yeah. So if you could play against like mono Hollowed Fountain decks with this deck, you'd be super excited. Those matchups are very good for Dredge. Even if they have Graveyard Hate, they usually don't have enough pressure to pair with it that you can just grind through them. Green Black Elves is great. We played that on stream a bunch. It's a lot of fun. It's very powerful. I like to lead the Stampede build, the top 8 of the last Grand Prix. Starting off with a 7 that's, again, a pretty easy mulligan here. Not only is having Narcomoebas in your opening hand rancid, but this hand doesn't have any Faithless Lootings or Insolent Neonates or Cathartic Reunion to get our Dredge engine going. Could we just chill on the budget deck talk? There are a ton of awesome places online that you can go post about budget deck. Let's try and stay on topic in chat here. This hand's also very bad. Just keep. All right. Or just buy a board game. Yeah, no, my opinion. That's my opinion. My opinion is that budget Magic is by and large very boring and generally bad. And if you're on a budget, you should just play a board game instead. There are a lot of really great board games that you can play with lots of friends for dozens of hours that will be much more cost efficient than building budget Magic decks. Budget Magic decks are often very bad. Looks like eggs. We're just collecting information at that point. No, that 7 wasn't close. That 7 was just objectively very bad. I think I'm just going to concede. We know what they're doing. I'm going to go ahead and board into my... Burn. So, lightning axes are obviously great. Pithing Needles, a trap here because it doesn't stop mana abilities. So, if you Pithing Needle or Sorcerer Spyglass a Crocklon Ironworks, you're going to be a very sad boy or girl. These are all great. Lightning Axe is bad. Darkblast is bad. Conflagrate. You don't want to cut... I'm pretty confident that you never want to go down to less than 2 Conflagrates post board in this deck, just because, like, you jump up and kill people with Conflagrate pretty often. But cutting the 3rd against decks where you don't need it ASAP to wrath their board is generally a fine plan. I'm pretty confident that you're not supposed to bring in the shatter effects against KCI. They don't really do what you're looking to do most of the time. Yeah, trimming a Loam is fine too if you don't really care about the Conflagrate plan. It's your worst dredger. And this still leaves us with 11, 12, 13 dredgers. You can also board out a land on occasion too. I suppose on the draw especially I could board out a mountain, yeah. I don't think that the Ancient Grudge is really that good. Like, usually the turn they play KCI, they kill you, and, like, killing the rest of their stuff isn't very valuable. I think I'd rather trim the Loam than a mountain. Actually, I'm just gonna ban you permanently. There. This way I don't have to lose you. I can just fucking tell you to wank off. Magic is an expensive hobby. If you want to play sanctioned competitive Magic, it's going to cost money to play. And I don't think telling people the realistic approach. You know what's more rude than telling people that they should consider playing a board game or something more within their budget? What's more rude is giving them decks and getting them to spend their small amount of money that they obviously don't have a lot of on decks where they're just going to go get fucking dumpstered at F&M. Because they are playing a deck that's weak and bad because someone on the internet told them that it was going to be competitive when really it's not that competitive. No, the opponent's deck, when they go off, they have an infinite loop in them. Gnaw to the Bone in the sideboard of this deck is basically exclusively for the burn matchup. It's just like one card you get to board in to dunk the burn deck. Big Don, you're no longer banned in chat. Thank you for asking politely. Welcome back. Dredge being the only good Loam deck feels like Star being the only gifts that give a deck, right? Yeah, that's it's funny. I've never actually thought about it that way, but that's actually a great way to. It's like these cards have so much interesting potential, and these degenerate things are the only places we have to use them. So one thing I hadn't considered with this opening hand that actually makes it pretty bad is the fact that we don't actually have a green source, which actually makes getting more lands in the future kind of difficult. I probably should have mulliganed this hand looking for Thoughtseizes or green mana. I just saw lands, Dredge or Cathartic Reunion. I should ditch Double Dredger here. I stopped doing the Hearthstone stuff because there's just not enough demand for the content. The way Twitch works, it's basically impossible to break into a new game without having help from people that are already established streaming that game. And I reached out to several people that produce Hearthstone content, and they basically all just ignored my messages. Which is funny. It's actually why I made that post extending hey, I'll host you to smaller Magic channels, because trying to stream something like Hearthstone, that's a game that I don't normally stream, and it just being like impossible to gain viewers in it was just like, this is miserable. I should help people be able to get out of this where I can. We're dead here. Yeah, Gibbler just straight up ignored my message. Which I've never interfaced with him. Like, I know we both, like, he did Magic once upon a time and I do Magic now, but I did reach out to him after watching his stream for a couple of months and subscribing, and he just didn't respond. So, I mean, that's his prerogative. I'm sure he gets a ton of messages, to be fair. The Hearthstone community is much larger than the Magic community. But that's fine, you know, I don't really need to expand my content. The Magic community has been very gracious to me. I was just, you know, playing some Hearthstone anyways, and I figured I'd try and see if I could make something out of the content, but the content just is not popular enough to warrant doing it instead of Magic stuff. So I feel like if I have time to be streaming, I should just be doing Magic. So this hand is interesting. It doesn't have green mana again like that last hand in that game I just conceded, but it has Faithless Looting, which gives me, yeah, I can lead. So Insolent Neonate lets me dredge with the draw it does right away, but if I lead on Faithless Looting here, I get 2 shots to hit a green source. Does this hand do, this hand's probably good enough outside of that it's worth keeping and taking a couple shots at a green source. Because, like, if I miss on this looting, I could just, like, take a draw step next turn too. Plus, I have another Faithless Looting here to try and, like, work towards a green source. So I think this hand gets enough looks at a green source that it's worth keeping. I wouldn't call it good. I think I'd call this keepable. If this had green mana in it, I would call it amazing, but I think without green mana in the opener, because we can't start dredging aggressively right away, I think this hand is just passable. I mean, calling it good is probably a bit of a stretch. Opponent in the tank, or their cat knocked their drink over on their keyboard. You know, one of the two. One of the two. You think this deck should have a different land base to get more green sources? That's an interesting question, actually. So, this is actually my first time playing Dredge with this more fetch land mana base. And it actually bit us in that game against Jeskai, but we ended up winning anyways. How many green sources in here? We have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm pretty sure that's about the number of green sources the more... Let me actually look now. We actually have another Dredge deck in the donation queue. So this is, I'm pretty sure the other Dredge deck in the queue has the Gemstone mana base. And actually, this mana base looks identical to what we're playing now. Not quite. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, this is exactly the same number of green sources. I think we've just been a little bit unfortunate with the couple of openers that we've had here so far. 15 seems pretty reasonable. Great. Well, that was perfect. Not only did we hit a second Dredger here, but we also hit our green source. Yeah, I mean, like, that's their prerogative, too. That's their prerogative, too, kid. And, like I said, all I could do is I did Hearthstone stuff for, like, a month, and I reached out to a couple of people. I did what I could, but it just wasn't going anywhere. It seemed like a waste of effort. I still like playing Hearthstone. Like, I just loaded up Kibler's Overload Shaman deck while I was at the gym yesterday, and that deck's really sweet. Black Star Quinn, thank you for the 6-month 3 subscription. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I do think that Steam Vent seems a little silly. I think, like, being able to cast Prized Amalgam is a little bit... Are we playing against Eggs again? This is a different Eggs player. Our hand's much better this time, so we can hopefully erase them. This style of matchup is generally very bad for Dredge, which is another reason I think Dredge is not well positioned right now. While Dredge kind of has, like, this boogeyman feel to it of being very aggressive very quickly, Dredge is by and large closer to a mid-range deck with recursive threats that generate value that give control in mid-range decks a hard time, as opposed to this fast combo deck. So, like, against decks like KCI and stuff like that that can generate absurdly fast combo draws, we're actually quite the dog to them. God, we're gonna mill our other Stomping Ground again here, aren't we? Pretty sure we're supposed to do this first, so if I hit another Bloodghast here, and I did hit another Bloodghast, so it was worth waiting for sure. One mana Self Miller? Are you talking about the one drop that when it dies you mill some cards? What's the 1 mana Self Miller? Oh, it's enter the battlefield and dies. That's probably still not good enough. That seems pretty bad. I'd have a hard time believing that that's better than Neonate. Like, being able to, like, actually activate your dredges is really big game. And, like, Treecorn mills you 4 right away, right? Like, you play it, you mill it, and then upkeep, you hit it again. It's not like this is Legacy Dredge, where, like, you need a high black body count for, what's that card called? I'm blanking on its name. Icarid. No. Donation decks that we have on this channel, they range from everything from tier 1 decks to random brews like you're suggesting. Sometimes people just want to see a specific deck played, and there honestly aren't a ton of people that stream a ton of Modern like I do, so it doesn't surprise me that, you know, if someone wants to see, you know, this is probably the deck that someone plays, and they want to see just someone else play it and get some feedback and insight on how they would play some of the matches out. Morning, Bronze. Dredge, Stinky here. We finally hit a Prized Amalgam, but he's not coming back for a little bit yet. I'm gonna go ahead and get Loam up here. Grab probably Copperline, Mountain, and Gemstone here. Just grab a bunch of untapped lands for ourselves. I'm really confused. Okay, so Camel, so like what you're saying is like really inconsistent. So like you're shitting on the mana base and saying we need more green sources, but like you just described a mana base with less green sources than I'm playing right now. So like which is it? Do you think we need more green sources? Or like what are you trying to accomplish by your changes to the mana bases? I agree that like Steam Vents to cast Prized Amalgam seems kind of silly, but I think like what you're suggesting doesn't make sense to me. All right, and this is going to be a life EV concession. But we're not guaranteed to die here, but like they're going to draw enough cards that we're very, very likely to die. No, I don't think Dredge is well positioned in the format right now. I think it's too slow against these fast combo decks, and I think most of the fair decks have enough incidental graveyard hate in their sideboard anyways that they're going to end up hosing you post-board. I don't think this is a Gnaw to the Bone matchup. It's definitely a Driven to Despair matchup. It's possible, if you do want to play this archetype, that you just want one copy of this in the main. This card, like, randomly steals you a lot of games against combo decks. It's pretty good, actually. Yeah, we're just going to board like we did last time. I'm going to board in these 4 and cut these 4. Yeah, I agree with that assessment. Yeah, this deck is a very, very good Hollowed One matchup. If you expect a lot of Hollowed One and you expect a lot of, like Hallowed Fountain, Jeskai control, and Blue-White control decks, I think those matchups are very good for this archetype, but I think by and large in the current format, this deck doesn't have a lot of fantastic matchups. Yeah, and that's why, honestly, I think that's why, like, Storm being a good deck in the format made Dredge much worse, because people are playing Surgical Extractions and Relics and Spellbombs to beat Storm, and they're like, oh, you're playing Dredge, idiot? I've got all this sideboard hate for Storm, I'm gonna beat you too. I think the Red-Green Hollowvine deck is also kind of medium. I think it's worse than Red-Black Hollowed One, but I do think it's better than Dredge currently, yes. How many different ones do you have? I've noticed a gray and a pink one so far. Yeah, so my wife and I each have a gray and a pink. We have a gray and a pink one. My wife and I each have one of these. I left mine in the car outside yesterday when I went to the gym, so I'm using hers this morning. And then we have a bunch of random free ones that we've acquired from different places over the years that have different logos on them. Yeah, and like people also overboard Graveyard Hate for Black Red Hollowed One. Like, I don't actually think Graveyard Hate is that good against Black Red Hollowed One in most of the games, but people play it anyways. No, I don't think you can trim that many dredgers out of your deck. So like, I think 2 is like the maximum number of dredgers I want to cut in this deck. And like, I already cut Darkblast and a Loam, so I don't really want to cut another Loam. And Ancient Grudge, by and large, doesn't really interact with what the opponent has going on most of the time. That's what we're here for. We're here to have meaningful, insightful discussions. Except for when idiots come in, then we're here to time people out. Correct, yes. The fast combo decks are bad matchups for this deck. This deck does not have consistently fast draws as far as killing people goes. Boop, boop. The fact that we drew Driven to Despair is pretty good too. This card lets us draw a bunch of cards, which lets us use Turbo Dredge your deck. Does Griselbrand have similar problems? No, Griselbrand's really good. Griselbrand is a fast combo deck that can often get under Graveyard Hate that isn't Surgical Extraction. And when your opponent does have an overwhelming amount of Graveyard Hate, you can simply, when they do have overwhelming amount of Graveyard Hate, you can simply through the Breach to kill your opponent. So I actually think Griselbrand is pretty well positioned in the current format. I think if you want a really fast combo deck, it's a great choice. So this is sweet. This is a quick start that we need. I think I'm actually gonna bin the Driven to Despair here because I would like to make them discard a bunch of cards next turn, hopefully. So this Amalgam is going to come back at the end of my turn, which is going to bring back these other 2 Amalgams at the end of their turn, which means I'm going to have 4 creatures next turn, so I'll get to flashback Driven and do it that way. Have you seen the Naruchord deck tracks? I actually think the Naruchord deck might be a better direction to take creature combo. Griselbrand, and it's not close. The Narset deck is just a pure meme. It's not good, not even close to being good. You just play it because it's hilarious. The As Foretold deck impressed me. It was better than the Hot Mess than when we played it last time, but I don't think it's good. Gristlebrand, I think, is a genuinely good modern deck. It has turn 2 kills an absurd amount of the time for a modern deck, and it goes off on 3 to 4 very consistently. Obligatory. It's funny, Mato Aztec, because someone already asked that question this morning when we kicked off. Dredge old Stinky here. Hit an arc. Yeah, I'm just gonna... So... I'm gonna go ahead and grab a Blood Crypt here. We'll flashback our Despair, and we'll empty our opponent's hands here. It's worth noting they do have 3 draws on the table, so, like, this is by no means lights out like it would be against some other combo decks, but they're also dead on board. So, like, we're emptying their hand here, and they're going to 9. Yeah, honestly, maybe you just want multiple Driven to Despairs in your 60, in your 75, just like one in the main, one on the board. Bin it all. Man, their hand was good. Whew. Whew. It would be a shame if something were to happen to all those cards, opponent. Yeah, a lot of the people who play KCI online just play an Emrakul in their deck, not because it's optimal, but because it lets you go off with minimal effort when you lets you go off with minimal effort on Magic Online. Do you believe Leyline of the Void is a viable sideboard card in Dredge? Is a Dredge sideboard card? That sounds like a lot of slots. I don't know. I think I'd test more of this before I played something like Leyline. I'm not a huge fan of Leylines in general, although they suck slightly less than Faithless Looting and Cathartic Reunion decks, just because you have ways to loot through them when you draw them. I really hate the idea of just, like, having a bunch of cards in my deck that do nothing when I draw them. Yeah, but it's a card that's good enough in the matches where you want to see it, that you generally want to see one in the top half of your deck, which means you probably want 2 of them. What's better graveyard hate, Relic, Extraction, Cage, or Leyline? The answer is, it depends. It depends on your deck, and it depends on what graveyard decks you're trying to beat. Yeah, they serve, I agree with that. They serve different purposes. They tax your mana differently. This hand do? This hand is just nowhere near good enough. Remember, the matchup that you're playing is important and has context. So, like, the fact that we're playing a combo matchup here means I need a hand that's either explosive or disruptive. This hand is not super exciting, but it's a keep. With a black source, it's very good. Actually, with the black source, it's great, right? It's got land, looting, dredgers. The fact that there's a Narcomoeba in it really sucks, but I have disruption and I have a way to get my own game plan going. 2 in the main sounds excessive unless you're expecting, like, in a really combo-heavy format, Driven to Despair is just, like, quite excellent. So I could see if you're expecting a lot of combo and control, like, Driven to Despair sounds great. But I think Driven to Despair is a card that's probably very good on average in a lot of Dredge's harder matchups, which probably makes it worth considering playing a copy. Well, that's really unfortunate, because it's a land, but it's not the type of land we're looking for. Although I guess because I have Loam in my hand, I can Dredge into... God, that is just fantastic. Those were the perfect. That's a 1 mana card to let us get Dredge Velocity going next turn, and it's the black source for our Thoughtseize. So if there was ever a series of cards that allowed us to be able to win this matchup, I think this is definitely putting us in a good position to be able to do so. And, like, next turn, we're going to get to Dredge my Stinkweed Imp, and then go Insolent Neonate off the Copperline Gorge, Dredge the Stinkweed Imp again, and then floop any Bloodghast that we find into play with the Gemstone Mine, and then Thoughtseize my opponent to hopefully buy us some time. And then, if we get some Bloodghast and maybe find our Driven to Despair, we can use the time that Thoughtseize buys us to bridge that into a game win. No, I think I Thoughtseize on turn 2, because I just can't risk them having an Opal. They kept 7 too, so they either have Graveyard Hate or they have a Mindstone or Opal, so I think I'm supposed to just be aggressive with my Thoughtseize. I also want to use my mana efficiently because turn 3, I'm in a position to flashback my Faithless Looting as well, so I want to also be advancing my own game plan while disrupting theirs. So the other day, someone suggested without explaining my Excavator and Land Flagger deck was good. I think it might be worth playing 2 because it serves a similar purpose of Night. So I don't think it serves a similar purpose to Night. So let me rephrase. It serves half of Night's purpose is the best way I would phrase it. And Night isn't good only doing half of what it does. Night is good because it does both things, which is it's a way to consistently generate land drops. You need to generate land drops, and when you don't need to generate land drops, it's a large beater to kill your opponent with. So I think it's the A plus B that makes that card worth playing as opposed to just the A mode. And this is sweet. So my opponent only has 4 cards in their hand. We get to Thoughtseize them here, and we flooped our 1 copy of Driven to Despair. So I get to go ahead and Thoughtseize them now, and then we've got 2 Amalgams in our bin, so we're going to make them discard 3 cards next turn as well. Hopefully they can't kill us through this Thoughtseize. Sweet. So I'll take the Crocklon Ironworks out of their hand, and we'll floop some zombies into play here, and then hopefully this Driven to Despair can steal us the game. It's funny, I often don't make changes to the decks, but I actually made 1 change to this deck this morning, and it was, I cut the 3rd Collective Brutality in the sideboard for 1 copy of Driven to Despair. I was just like, I really like this card in Dredge, let's play 1. And Ichor Wellspring puts another card in their hand, but, like, I don't really care about that. I'm going to make you discard a bunch of cards out of your hand here in a second. Although they do have another Inventor's Fair in their hand that's mostly a free discard at this point. We have 2 Stinkweed Imps in our bin here still. That's unfortunate. Makes our Driven to Despair a little bit worse here. Hit another Narc. Hey, Anti-Trumpet. Thank you very much for the 6-month resubscription. Thanks for the many hours of entertainment. Looking forward to the next half year. Take up your training sword. Thank you for learning to defend Hooglandia and keeping us around. I do appreciate it. I think I just take the last card out of their hand here. So I hit another Prized Amalgam, which means I'm going to have 11 power in play next turn. So that means alongside this... Is there a Conflagrate in my bin? Oh, I haven't found a Conflagrate yet, have I? I thought I had one, but I don't. Okay, so this is... I think I'm going to take their last card out. I think the mana's too big of a downside. So, what's better? Do I flashback the looting to try and find the Conflagrate to put them dead on board next turn? Or do I take the one card out of their hand? I know the card in their hand. I guess I don't know that it's a spell. I feel like I'm just supposed to take the card out of their hand because there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that I get the Conflagrate. Like, there's only 2 in my deck. But I guess I'm going to get to dredge at least 8 cards here. I guess I could also flip into Bloodghast. That could potentially be lethal as well. No, Bloodghast won't be lethal because they'll be at 13. Yeah, just potentially putting them on the faster clock is probably ideal. We hit the Conflagrate. Alright, means they're dead next turn. Which is pretty good for us. Turn 4 kills out of Dredge are not all that common. Yeah, they're gonna get to see a lot of cards next turn regardless. That being said, because they had to play a second Inventor's Fair, their mana is kind of constrained here, so we do definitely have potential to be able to steal this. They don't necessarily have Scrap Trawler. So we have 11 power in play. They have 14 health, and we can Conflagrate them for 4. We can actually Loam and then Conflagrate them for more than that too, right? Yeah, well, they only need 4 to get Crackling Ironworks into play, which is the scary one. Yeah, this is a second KCI opponent. So we lost to the first one because we mulligan, and then I kept a bad hand. But we're in game 3 here, so I think we have a shot. Would you play Black-Green Tron? Yeah, I think Black-Green Tron is fine. I don't know, like, what is your goal by playing Black-Green Tron? I honestly think the Mono-Green Tron's probably the better variation after playing more with both of them. Like, having access to a lot of basic lands has a lot of upside in the current format. These nerds like their fair decks with their Field of Ruin, so like having like 4 or 5 basic forests in your deck is pretty great. Yeah, the draw to those is definitely those cards. I think part of the problem with Fatal Push and Brutality after playing the deck more, and like you get Thoughtseize out of the sideboard too, is that even with those black cards, it doesn't make your matchups where those black cards are supposed to help good. It just like makes them less bad. So like you're hurting your mana and you're hurting other potential matchups with that are playing like Field of Ruin for the sake of making matchups that are terrible into just bad, which probably isn't a worthwhile exchange. Main decking Loam? No, main decking Loam seems like some nonsense. I think your fair matchups are pretty good as is. I think just playing more basic lands is a better response to all the fair decks. Did you draw a second KCI? They found the Mox Opal here, so did you draw a second KCI? I guess they still have a land drop too, so they have a land drop. They could like cycle the Spell Bomb and hit KCI still. There's a Scrap Trawler. Okay. Scrap Trawler plus Spellbomb might keep us from killing them this turn. Let's Dredge, Loam. So I get to Loam here and get back Mountain and then some other lands. And then I can flashback Conflagrate, dealing... Can I kill them this turn? So I need to ask the question, can I kill them this turn? So if I Conflagrate and do 2 here, and then 3 here, they go to 11, which I have 11 in play, but they can Spellbomb down my Narcomoeba. But if they Spellbomb down my Narcomoeba, that means they get 1 less draw with this, so I think it's valuable to make them Spellbomb down my Narcomoeba here. 1, 2, 3. So I think it's worth cashing in my hand here to make them Spellbomb. Yeah, we played KCI in stream a couple of times. I'm surprised that they didn't sacrifice... Oh, I guess they don't have any zero-cost artifacts in there, huh? No, they don't. Never mind. So they're obligated to Spellbomb a Narcomoeba and then go to 1. And then we hope that they don't kill us. I think we have KCI in the queue too at some point. Yeah, it's towards the bottom. It's line 55 at the moment. So we'll get back to it at some point in the next month. Go to 1. Inventor's Fair goes up to 2. Getting the Scrap Trawler off the table is not nothing as well, because Scrap Trawler is one of their ways that allows them to generate a lot of value when they're going off with KCI. This is match 3. Yeah, match 3. Beat Jeskai Control, lost to KCI, currently in a second match against KCI. There's the Ironworks. They only have 3 cards though, and then they have 2 mana in play. Yeah, I think they're dead. They need like second Mox plus a land, and even then they're floating on thin ice. Yeah, good games, opponent. It's not bad, not bad. 2-1 with Dredge. See if we can roll off the next one. We're waiting for the 4th match to pop. I'd just like to thank everyone for tuning in so early already. It's 9:15. We already got 400 people in here. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I'm a full-time streamer and content producer here on Twitch. I stream Magic full-time. We play a bunch of Modern. We play some Legacy. We play some Vintage. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are a big part of what keep me here full-time. You can also support my stuff by supporting some of my wonderful sponsors. MTGOtraders.com. I love to buy and sell some Magic Online cards with you. And if you use code Hoagland PayPal at checkout with them, you'll save 8% on your singles orders there. CoolStuffInc.com buy and sells a lot of cool stuff, including TCG singles using promo code Jeff5. You can save 5% on Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience using code Jeff12. You can save 12% on custom playmats, mouse pads, binders, and bags there. And of course, we'd like to welcome everyone to Hoaglandia. Please talk to your friendly neighborhood moderator about receiving your complimentary timeout. At any rate, we're 2-1 in this league with Dredge, heading into our 4th match here. I actually think hands like this are pretty okay to keep, especially on the play. Like this hand gets to go Faithless Looting, Bin, Ghast Amalgam, and then we get to like turn 2 bring these Dorkos back. So I think I'm gonna keep this, especially on 6. I'm gonna bottom a land, not quite looking for that. This can find us a green source, so. This actually is really good now, because next turn I can go ahead and use Neonate and bin this Amalgam before I play my land, and we can have 8 power on turn 2, which is great. Maybe you should consider subbing him in. Just smork the Tron players with the Goblin. Morning, Gorbatron. Basic Mountain. Yeah, it seems okay here. Like, we're definitely gonna have way more power than they are very quickly, right? We're actually 2-1. We lost to KCI and then we beat a different KCI player in the match after it. The match we lost to KCI, though, I mulliganed to 2 in one game and then kept a bad hand in the second game, though. My one copy of Driven to Despair got to steal one of the games in the KCI matchup that we won, though, so that was sweet. Ramanap Runes in this deck always seems so ambitious to me. Alright, they're attacking for 7 on 2. We're attacking for 8 on 3. Loam's not a bad draw. Huh. Might have been better to Conflagrate for 2 here. I can't Conflagrate for 2. I can Conflagrate for 1 this turn. I could also Conflagrate and then discard these 2 cards to deal 2. Oh, you're talking about this turn as opposed to last turn. Is there an echo? I don't think any of my settings are different. I feel like someone would have mentioned an echo by now. Check and see if you have me open in 2 tabs. Yeah, it might be better to just, like, do it. Just, like, kill this and this. They probably have a hard time racing if I kill these 2, right? With the topical joke. That topical echo joke, that's just like A+ right there. Do you have children? I feel like you're obligated to have children to make a joke like that. Whoa, they have nothing going on. Or they auto-pass their turn, one of the two. That might have been an auto-pass my turn, shame concede. Pretty sure I want these. When you bring in the Lightning Axe, usually the go-to trim is Insolent Neonate because you're bringing in other ways to discard. Do I just like cut all of these? I wonder if I cut all of these. Probably trim a Dakmor Salvage. Usually you could trim a land on the draw. I wonder if cutting all the Neonates is too many. You can see maybe cutting a Cathartic Reunion instead of the third Neonate, just to like keep up my 1-mana discard things. Does casting cord... No, the spell already resolves. So you can Naru in response to a Chord of Calling, and Naru will copy the X, but you can't Chord for Naru and then use Naru to copy the Chord that got Naru, no. I think I just want, like, I'm bringing in 2-mana spells here, too, so I think I want to trim a Cathartic Reunion as opposed to the last Neonate. I don't think I want any of these other cards up here. Let's give this a go. Huh. I'm pretty confident these Steam Vents are hot garbage. These should probably just be lands that make green mana. If this hand had green mana, I think I'd snap it off. Like, do you think I keep this? I guess Cathartic Reunion finds me, like... I don't know, I feel like the fact that I don't have green mana just makes this not good enough. Yeah, I guess Brutality and Gnaw are pretty good. They went to 6. Yeah, but so here's the problem. Like, people talking about you have so many draws from Reunion. Every draw you take from Reunion that's not dredging is making your primary game plan worse. So it's not free to keep hands like this. Like, yeah, I get a lot of looks, but like, those looks are supposed to be advancing my primary game plan, not looking for green mana. That was a phenomenal draw. God bless. God bless. That was a great draw. That feels bad. Feels bad, man. I mean, this hand's absurd if we hit a green land. So, oh, I should have discarded this. The reason why I didn't discard this is because I'm an idiot. So for those that are wondering, I'm not dredging next turn anyways. The reason I didn't discard this is because I'm dumb. The Goblin Guide being a pal and letting me know I should dredge. No, I think we're just running a little bit bad. This deck's playing 15 green sources, which I think is about average. Oh gosh, we had a Conflag in there too. Holy shit. I think I just want a full Brutality here. If I had a Bloodghast in play right now, we'd be racing so much harder. Mog Fanatic Bushwhacker. It's pretty good. I need to trade with their Bushwhacker. Yep. Well, I guess I'm actually going to trade with a Mog Fanatic here. Yeah, I'm going to trade with a Mog Fanatic here, actually. Oh, or they're just, sure, making that decision for me. Deal. I think I need to take a draw step. The first time I cast it, I'm probably not going to have more cards for this, though. So I guess I'm just taking each draw individually here. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Just like we drew it up, chat. Whoa, there are 4 Bloodghasts in my bin. Well then, man, this Magic game is tough. Let me tell you about things that are difficult, chat. Magic the Gathering is a tough game that allows the better player to always win. Good, clean, fair, interactive Magic the Gathering, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's count. If I dredge Loam, it puts me up 2 cards, so I can conflag for 5. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which puts them to 16. And then I have 16, and then I have 6, 14 in play. Am I just supposed to gain a bunch here? How many creatures are in my bin? 1, 2. There's actually only 2 creatures in my bin. Well, we're definitely dredging this. Found another creature. Is this a Gnaw turn? Like, can they kill me from 7? They draw 2 cards. What if I just, like, Conflag and attack with my Bloodghast? Yep, Nadu is bumped accordingly, Civil. Like, I can only gain... Let's pop this out just so I can double count. We only gain 2, 4... We only gain 6 this turn. I think I'm supposed to conflag their board, and I'll just leave back these amalgams so I don't, like, die by mistake to a Bushwhacker off the top. So they do get to draw 3 cards next turn. I feel like leaving these in play is, like, similar to gaining 6. So... yeah. Oh, I do have to fetch to cast this, though, which is a little scary. Because I'm basically going to 6 here, so we could die to double bolt. The answer is I have no idea. It is a new deck that we started working on since Naru was printed, and I don't actually know if it's good, bad, or otherwise. Alright, and then if we survive this turn, we'll win the game, almost certainly. But they are going to put us to 6 here. I guess they could kill Bloodghast. They kill Bloodghast here, we're definitely winning the game. Yeah, they do. They get to draw 3 cards, so we're not likely to die, but yeah, they're definitely putting themselves in a position to kill us. And I'm gonna leave these Prized Amalgams back because we should have lethal next turn regardless. So this way we get to block some hasters. Grenade. They have a few combinations of 3 cards. Most of them involve double lightning bolt, but they have like bolt, goblin grenade. Yeah, they just have nothing. God, our hand was absurd that game. Quite absurd. Makes up for some of those games where we don't have any Prized Amalgams to the top third of our deck. Just get all the Bloodghast out ASAP. I even messed up that game by not getting the Bloodghast into play on turn 2 with improper sequencing. The polo is this polo is a little bit weird on camera. I didn't think about that when Christy picked out the stripes. The dredge deck has a lot of complexity and small decisions in it. I actually really enjoy playing this deck, and if there wasn't so much incidental graveyard hate in the format, I would play a lot more of it. I just think I enjoy this deck a lot. I don't think it's well positioned. Jeff, I know it's a bit early in the league, but I haven't seen Dredge in a long time. No, I don't. I think it's a little bit slow against the fast combo decks, and I think it is there's enough incidental graveyard hate in the fair decks that it can be a little bit medium. Their current record. We're actually 3-1 in this league. And actually, I want to talk about, I think you can do... They named Beeble, so they're picking this back up. I think there's a few things you can do to this deck to make the hard matchups better for you. But I do think there are a lot of hard matchups for it. No, my wife picks out what clothes I buy, though, because I don't care what clothes I wear. So... I pick out what I wear in the morning, but we've not played against a single piece of graveyard hate, I don't think. I don't think we've played against a single piece of graveyard hate today. So having a Dakmor Salvage as our only dredger is not great, believe it or not, but I think we had enough ways to draw cards. This hand was a keep, especially with a Scry at 6. Do you know what was one of the best decisions of my adult life? It was throwing out every mismatch sock that I owned and just going and buying like 20 pairs of just black socks. Oh, that's bad for us. Oh, that's bad. We drew a Narcomoeba. We found no more dredgers. Chat, it's not going to be a good scene, chat. We needed to find dredgers in those top few. I think we might be dead, chat. Oh. Oh, yeah, this matchup's unwinnable. Yeah. Have you ever been bogged every single turn? You ever been bogged every single turn by the Amulet Titan deck? I've been bogged every single turn by the Amulet Titan deck. They bog you, they bounce land, they bog you again. As someone who's played both sides of this matchup, it is absurd for the Amulet Titan deck. Alright, so things I would do slightly differently in this deck if I was going to play it. I think I would max on copies of Thoughtseizes in the sideboard. I think Thoughtseize is a card that not only helps your fast combo matchup with this deck against decks like Storm and KCI, but I think it's also a great card to bring in the dark, especially when you're on the play against decks that you're not sure what kind of graveyard hate they're playing. Thoughtseize is a card that can only take their graveyard hate that they mulligan for out of their hand, but it's also a card that when they don't have their graveyard hate, you still get to disrupt your opponent's primary game plan. So I think I would max on copies of Thoughtseize on the board. I also think this Steam Vents is like some hot fucking nonsense. I think like trying to cast your Prized Amalgams with it is stupid. I think I would probably sneak a third Stomping Ground into here because we had at least one game where like I had dredged both my Stomping Grounds before I could find a fetch land. And it was just like really awkward. Yeah, the matchup is unwinnable because not only does your deck have a fast clock, but in addition to your fast clock, this deck just can't interface with the Bojuka Bog. Yep, yeah, I think the Gemstone Mines are fine too for the Amalgams as well. Yeah, so I'd turn this into a Stomping Ground. I would work a Driven to Despair into the main deck. I don't know what I'd cut off hand. It's probably Close My Eyes and pick a card at random. I don't know, maybe the Darkblast or this Lightning Axe. And then I would probably turn this Pithing Needle or one of the Collective Brutalities into a fourth Thoughtseize in the sideboard. So that's my feedback on Dredge. I think this archetype's a lot of fun. I think it has a lot of intricacies to it. But again, like I said a few times during that league, I don't think it is particularly well positioned in Modern as a format. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, Modern by and large is a format about playing decks that you enjoy. So if you enjoy playing Dredge, I think it's a fine choice. I think you can definitely win games with it. We 3-2'd there. But anywho, onward, upward, backward, forward. What's the next thing in my schedule today? Landfall aggro. Let's do it, chat. Let's do it. All right, let's grab some cards. We're gonna try Beaumont Courier today. So Landfall aggro is a deck that we've played a